Hi everyone, my name's Pan and welcome to another edition of Bluebird Corner, the Cardiff City fans podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the 1982-83 season at Cardiff City. Just to give you a background, we got relegated the season before from what was the old Division 2 or now the Championship. And we went into the 82-83 season with no money again, as per norm. We brought in Jimmy Goodfellow as trainer coach, and he really pushed the squad at St. Athan. Then Ashurst, the manager, knew he needed to make a few changes in the team. So a number of players left. Steve Grapes went to Torquay. Mike Henderson went to Sheffield United. Tom Gilbert went to Darlington. And a few other players like Peter Kitchen went to Hong Kong. And Wayne Hughes went to Bath. And Gary Stevens, who was slated by City fans the season before, the striker, he ended up going to Shrewsbury for £20,000. Now, Len Ashurst did keep Phil Driver, but he put him on a monthly contract due to Phil's injuries. And so Phil stayed on a monthly contract. And Jimmy Mullen, his loan signing the season before, he was made permanent. We also brought in Jeff Hemmerman from Portsmouth. David Tong came in from Shrewsbury. Paul Bowden came in from Newport County. And Roger Gibbons was signed from Cambridge United. So, a few changes in the squad. Martin Thomas also came in, the Welsh goalkeeper on loan from Bristol Rovers. And some interesting other players who came in for different reasons was a lad called Billy Woof. Great name, Billy Woof, the striker from Gateshead, born in Gateshead. He came in and I think he scored in one of his early games for City, but he had a disagreement with the management team at City. I think Len Ashurst shipped him out. He was actually on trial, so unfortunately with Billy Woof, he didn't hang around. And the other interesting one was a lad called Godfrey Ingram. And Godfrey Ingram was signed from San Jose Earthquakes a little into the season for £200,000, which was a record fee for Cardiff City. Born in Luton, played most of his career in the States. And always remember a game at home. I don't know who it was against, but Godfrey Ingram was about 3 yards out at the, I think it was at the Canton end of Ninian Park, and he missed an open goal. And a lot of people, a lot of my mates around that time said, my God, this guy is useless. So he was shipped back quite quickly to San Jose Earthquakes. And to this day, a lot of City fans will tell you that he wasn't actually signed for a fee. I think they just disguised it as a fee, and he came on a loan because he went back for reportedly the same fee. So, there are a few changes in the squad going into that 82-83 season. So what we do, if you've seen some of the other podcasts, we've started with the 1980-81, is we'll bring the squad up and we'll go through the players from top left to right, working down each row, talking about each player. We'll then discuss the season, and then we'll have a look at where we finished and with some attendances and goal scorers. So here's the squad. As you can see, a lot of younger fans may notice there's not many in it. It's not like the modern day time where you've got 25 plus. In those days, you tend to have 13, 14 max. So it's completely different then. So if you have a look at the top left there, you can see Roger Gibbons, now age 69. Roger started his career at Spurs. As I said, we signed him from Cambridge. A really decent midfield player. He ended up playing 281 games for City over 2 spells. And Roger's really well liked down the city. He was doing a lot of guest speaking. He always do, when I was in the corporate area once, he was doing halftime chats and stuff, and really be a likable guy. Loves City. Roger Gibbons there. He was a midfielder. Next, you've got Andy Dibble, the 17-year-old goalkeeper we signed from Cwmbran. Born in Cwmbran, sorry. Incredibly, Andy Dibble played for 18 league clubs over his career, which would include Manchester City, Sunderland and Rangers. And there's 2 really interesting stories about Andy Dibble. One was when he was at Manchester City and he was taking a goal kick. He was in his right hand and the Nottingham Forest striker headed it out of his hand and scored, and the goal was allowed. and there was absolute uproar among the players and the coaching team for Man City. And the other one was when he was a goalkeeper for Barry Town later in his career against Carmarthen, and he went down to save a shot, and he had horrific burns up his forearm. And it turned out the lines that were put down that day were hydrated lime. And this caused the injury for Andy Dibble. He actually took the local authority to court and he won £20,000 compensation. So, yeah, two really interesting stories there about Andy Dibble. And Andy later went on, I think he was signed by Luton Town after he left City. I think it was over 100,000 the fee. Next, then, you've got Martin Thomas. He's now age 65, born in St. Gened, the goalkeeper. As I said, he came on loan from Bristol Rovers. He made over 500 league appearances for 10 clubs. As I said, most of his games were at Bristol Rovers, but also at Newcastle and Birmingham City. And he was capped once for Wales in 1986. Martin actually went on to coach the England under-21s as well. And I think when he was at Newcastle, there was quite an interesting story I will share, not as a City. But in 1981, he played against West Ham. He wasn't fully fit. They lost that game 8-1. Alvin Martin, as some of you old fans will remember, the central defender scored a hat-trick that day, incredibly. But that match was remembered because during the game, there were 3 goalkeepers used by Newcastle. Martin Thomas has said he wasn't fit. They were losing 4-0 half-time. He went off. He was replaced then, and then the replacement keeper dislocated his shoulder, and they ended that game with Peter Beardsley in goal. So, really interesting story there. Next, you've got David Tong, the midfielder. As I said, we signed him from Shrewsbury, now age 69, made 120 appearances for City. Real decent midfielder, David Tong. Had a good understanding there in the midfield with Roger Gibbons. He worked as a postman up until his retirement. Then I'll just mention there, you've got Harry Parsons on the next. I always meant Harry Parsons, really famous guy at City. That he was a kit man, well liked by the staff there, the players, a local guy, and it was so sad when he passed away a few years ago. Then you've got Jeff Hemmerman. Jeff, we signed, he's born in Hull, he's age 70 now. We signed him from Portsmouth, and he's a brilliant striker, Jeff Hemmerman. He ended his career, which I'll talk about later in the programme, and he's got a kind of rehabilitation clinic in Newport, which he still actually has today. Next, you've got Keith Pontin. Keith was born in Pontyclun. He sadly passed away in 2020, age 64. He played 193 games for City as central defender. He was capped twice by Wales in 1980. One of those games was his debut against England, actually at Wrexham, where Wales won 4-1. Then you've got Gary Bennett. He's age 63. Gary was born in Manchester. We signed him from Manchester City on a free. He played 87 games for City. A really brave defender, fantastic in the air. And he was more famous at Sunderland. He played most of his career at Sunderland. He played over 601 league games and played most of those at Sunderland, where he was adored. And he was actually given an MBE for his services to anti-racism and a doctorate at the University of Sunderland, where he actually still coaches teams there at Sunderland University. Then you've got Paul Maddy. Paul was born in Cumbrani, 62. He played 43 games for City, left side of midfield. A lot of his appearances were a sub, and up until 2020, I think Paul was working in a factory until his retirement in South Wales. Then you've got some other players who I've mentioned in previous pods. So John Lewis, South Wales left winger, born in South Wales. He was a left side midfield. Taki Mikulev, who was a winger from Grangetown. His dad was a restaurateur, Greek restaurateur. Jimmy Mullen, who I mentioned, we got him from Rotherham. And then you've got Dave Bennett. Now, Dave Bennett was my favourite player of all time. We got him from Manchester City. He came after his brother Gary signed. And Dave Bennett was a brilliant right winger. I had a season ticket that year in the grandstand, and he was one of the only players I think we saw down the city during that period who got bums off seats. He could glide past players. He was a brilliant crosser of the ball, and he had a really good goal return as well. He had a guy eye for goal, and you could see that guy was going to have a great career. He actually went on, signed for Coventry City for a tribunal fee of 120,000, which was criminal. A bit like Aaron Ramsey, we gave him away for 5 million. He should have gone for 500,000 in those days, not the 120,000. He's a really good player. He was part of the side that won the FA Cup for Coventry. And Dave Bennett used to play snooker with my dad. And I used to remember when I was a kid, I used to go down to, I think it was Jackson's, not Jackson's. It was, what was it called? It was above Bananas nightclub. Someone will tell me. It was a snooker club that was down St Mary Street. So it's just, I'm gonna say, all these pods are unedited audio. So I don't edit them. So yeah, I can't remember the snooker hall, but it was above Bananas, which went on to be Frontiers nightclub. I remember in the late '80s, and I used to go there with my dad, and we used to play. Well, my dad used to play snooker with Dave Bennett. Dave Bennett was there. He was a medallion man, open shirt, a bit of a ladies' man. They used to say, they wondered how many children Dave left behind in Cardiff. He was a right ladies' man. He was a fantastic guy, and as I said, he was probably my all-time favourite City player there. So yeah, Len Ashurst built a pretty good squad there with the changes he brought in. So we're going to have a look at the season now. So first of all, going into that season, we started poorly away to Wrexham. We had a 2-1 defeat with Dave Bennett scoring for that game. We then beat Millwall 4-0 away, which was a fantastic result with Dave Bennett again too. For in the next game away, we actually lost the same score 4-0 away to Orient. Then we actually won 5 games on the trot, with Hemmerman scoring 5 goals in those 5 games. And one of those games was a win over Sheffield United in front of 7,000 fans. We then didn't win any of our next 3 games, including a 3-1 defeat at Bournemouth. And then we won our next 2 home games 1-0 before losing away to Huddersfield 4-0. We then won our next 3 games, including an away win at, where was it? Reading. Sorry, I can't read that then. 2-1 with Phil Dwyer scoring the goal. We didn't win any of our next 3 games, but one of those games was at home to Chesterfield, which was Bob Hatton. So we signed Bob Hatton in December, a striker we got from Sheffield United. And Bob scored there on his debut in a game we drew 1-1. And after that, we only lost 1 of our next 8 games, including a 3-2 win at home to Newport County, which was in front of 16,000 fans. So it was a really good attendance there. And at this point, we were in the top 3. We had been as low as 16th in the league earlier on. And after losing to Plymouth 3-2, we didn't lose any of our next 6, including a 3-0 win at home to Millwall, with the Bennett brothers scoring a goal each in that game. We then lost 2 out of our next 3, including away to Bradford 4-2. And that was the game that Andy Dibble got injured. And Len Ashurst brought a guy called Eric Steele in. And Eric was a really decent keeper. So that was a really good signing at that stage. We didn't lose any of our next 5 games before losses at Preston and Newport 1-0. And the game at Newport was a similar crowd, 16,000. But in our last 7 games, we were actually unbeaten, winning 5 and drawing 2, including obviously our win at home, our last home game against Orient. Some City fans will see the photo above Bluebird Corner on the YouTube channel, and that famous photo, I was actually in that photo. But I say in the photo, I was only about 5 foot tall, so I was just behind one of the lads in that photo. You could just see the top of my head, but that was a really famous promotion photo there, because that was the game that actually got us promoted up to what is the championship now. And that was a great day. I think that was in front of just over 11,000, 12,000 fans nearly. And that was a really special day with all the fans going on the ground. And I think going into the last game, one of my regrets looking back is that I was about sort of 12 at the time. I didn't go to the final away game, which was at Bristol Rovers. I think City took 4,500 fans to Bristol Rovers for that game. And that was the game we drew 1-1. I mean, by that stage, Portsmouth had already won the league, so we couldn't, if we'd beaten Rovers, we wouldn't have won the league. But yeah, we drew that game. And unfortunately, that was the game that Jeff Hemmerman, our great striker, did his knee ligaments. And Jeff never played again. And as I said, he set up that rehabilitation clinic in Newport, which he still has today. And looking at the actual season itself, as I said, we had some decent attendances there, but it's nothing like today. Obviously, some of our Sheffield United home 7,000. When you think about, my God, if we were getting 7,000 today, it'd be really shocking. But some decent crowds there, like I said, 16,000 home against Newport. So I think we averaged about 7,000 plus for the season, which was pretty good compared to some of the seasons before, and certainly some of the seasons later in the 80s. And Jeff Hemmerman was our top league goal scorer with 22 goals. Dave Bennett got 12 league goals, which was fantastic from the right wing. Roger Gibbons, unsung hero, he scored 9 goals. Bob Hatton was probably the difference in the end to us going up in the top 3. He scored 9 league goals. And Gary Bennett, central defender, he scored 8 goals, league goals. So you can see there, when you look at modern day times and last season, for example, that you need 4 or 5 players there, getting a decent goal return to have a really good season, and those five guys were really important to our season. So yeah, I really enjoyed that season. It was, even now, I still look back on it with fond memories. My love for Cardiff City, just got even stronger at that point. I started to go away a lot more as well. The seasons following that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the pod there. Please subscribe to the channel. We've done really fantastically well in a short space of time to have so many views, thousands of views, different podcasts. And I hope you like these season reviews going back in the days. If you'd like me to do a podcast on a season before 1980, let me know. But yeah, next week we shall do the 1983-84 season. Okay, so we'll do the draw for the £250 gift card, courtesy of our sponsors, Top Tier Cleaning. Thanks for all your entries. We had nearly 100 really subscribers in such a short time. We've had nearly 5,000 views in just over a week or so, which is great. Here's the £250 gift card. To make sure it's independent, the wife's going to do the draw, so pick one out. Okay, there we go. Thanks very much. Right, so there we go. Simon Williams, if you can see that. Simon, well done. That 250 card is yours, and we'll get that off to you. So thanks very much, and we'll see you again at Bluebird Corner.